If you have been following the horror that the monster Vladimir Putin has unleashed against Ukraine, you probably just about reached a breaking point with this stuff. The images, the brutality, the bestiality that this psychopathic Putin is unleashing against the civilian population of Ukraine. It's unbelievable, but very believable. I mean, we have the video, we have everything. And speaking of that, CNN has a reporter out there who I think deserves I don't know, whatever awards they still give to reporters for reporting on the spot. Clarissa Ward is her name, and apparently she speaks the Slavic languages that are spoken in that area, Russian, whatever other dialects are spoken. Is there a Ukrainian language? I should know that, shouldn't I? But Clarissa Ward, who is a war correspondent now, I don't know what she did before this began. She wasn't at CNN when I worked there. Of course, that was 1,000 years ago. But she is incredible. Her courage, her ability to speak to the people in their own language, her ability to get these stories out, the human side of what this bastard monster Putin is doing. I don't like to continue to watch the videos because all of a sudden it becomes almost like war porn or something. These horrifying images of destruction. Putin needs to be killed. He needs to be removed. He needs to be executed, shot, assassinated, something. He's not going to stop. You know who's next? Moldova. Moldova is near, if I remember my map, Odessa, which is on the Black Sea, right? Is it not? I don't have a map in front of me. Lost my train of thought because this is also horrifying. I hate even talking about this stuff because you would think at this time in 2022 that we wouldn't be doing this. We humans wouldn't be doing this. What Putin is doing, what Trump set him up to do, what Trump gave him permission to do, what Trump encouraged him to do, asked him to do. Russian artillery strikes are now targeting residential areas in the southern Ukraine city of Mykolaiv. Ukrainian forces are fighting to keep control of that city. By Ukrainian forces, we're not just talking about regular army. We're talking about militia. We're talking about civilians. We're talking about people who probably never handled an assault weapon in their lives, who are now trying to defend their city against these hordes of insane, bloodthirsty Russian soldiers who have been told the most outrageous bullshit about why Russia has sent the military into this country that has done nothing to Russia. Nothing. Putin's problem is with the United States and the NATO countries. Well, you cowardly fuck, why don't you come after us? Why don't you, Putin? You slob bastard. Jesus, God, please, if you're listening in Russia online, please kill this man. Kill him. I can't believe that we in the United States are only doing what we're doing. I understand the risk, but Putin is a monster, and the only way you stop monsters, first of all, the best way is to kill them. But when you can't, is to let them know that you're not going to allow them to continue the path of destruction that this psychotic bastard is on. Who comes next? What do we do when he goes after the Baltic states, the states that are not part of the European or the NATO alliance? Moldova, 2 or 3 days ago, applied for membership in the European Union in a desperate attempt, I would think, to protect themselves. I think they understand what this monster in Russia has in mind. He's not going to stop with Ukraine. We need to stop him now. I understand what the risk is. But these negotiations with Poland, what the fuck is taking so long? For Poland to give these ancient Soviet-built MiG jet airplanes, fighter planes to the Ukrainian pilots who know how to fly them, to fight back in the sky, since the United States and NATO refuses to have the courage to set up a no-fly zone over Ukraine. What would be involved? A direct confrontation between American forces, NATO forces, and Russian forces? Well, what the fuck? Okay. It's over a third country. The United States, NATO, would not be entering Russian airspace. This is where it's a good thing I am nowhere near decision-making where it concerns U.S. national or policy, where it concerns foreign policy. Because what I would do is put the United States nuclear force on alert, not on defensive alert like this filthy pig Putin did, but on whatever it's called, attack alert. And I would let the Russian people know, and I would let Putin know, all right, motherfucker, this is what you're facing. We have 5,000 nukes targeted to you. Oh, we know you can target them back to us, but we have them targeted to you. And now we are going to create a no-fly zone over Ukraine. And any Russian jet craft that comes in there will be blown into little chunks of metal. And then what would happen? But this is my tolerance for tyrants and dictators and authoritarians reached a breaking point when this dirty, filthy, goddamn Donald Trump was president of the United States. I mean, I had already, after my readings of history in the 20th century, the wars that were created and the slaughters that resulted from tyrants and dictators and authoritarians trying to establish fascism in various parts of the world, and how many tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people were slaughtered on this planet in the 20th century over these issues. And in reading about that, reading about the death camps, reading about the systematic destruction of human beings. And yes, going back to the 18th century and the 17th century, when Africans were brought here in slave ships where half of them would die on the trip over and their bodies thrown overboard to become shark food. Yes, all of this. Sorry. No, seriously. I need to develop some self-control over this issue. I know I do, and I apologize for starting to lose it. But when I see these children and the adults and the old people who have to watch their cities being ripped to pieces and bombed, there is no military value to these cities. But because Putin is insane and a killer, a psychopathic murderer, the people of Ukraine have to watch this and they try to flee. And like any fascist dictator who is bent on slaughter, Putin tells the people of Ukraine, okay, we're going to open up some escape routes for you, you poor miserable fuckers, so you can leave as we destroy your country. And then when the refugees try to flee in these corridors, they are shot dead by Russians, or they discover that the corridors only go to another hellhole in the old Soviet Union, Belarus, which is also run by a fucking psycho. Or the escape routes lead into Russia. Please, somebody in Russia, kill this son of a bitch, please. In Mykolaiv now, another, it's a port city on the Black Sea, Mykolaiv in Ukraine. These Russian vampires have increased the attacks on civilians. There is no military value. This is what these rotten fuckers did in Syria. They leveled city after city, reduced cities to rubble. Hundreds of thousands of civilians were killed. And what did we do? Not a fucking thing to stop it. Nothing. In Chechnya, before Putin, I guess before Putin was the dictator, what happened in Chechnya, a breakaway republic in Russia that had taken as much as they could. Same thing, carpet bombing, systematic murder of civilians. There are no military targets in Ukraine. There were no military targets in Syria that were left when the Russians started their heavy bombing and poison gas. Jesus fucking Christ. And what are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, we're trying to negotiate with Poland to send a bunch of World War II or Korean War era MiG-19 fighters or something, so that the people of Ukraine can continue to fight on their own against Russia? And we're not doing anything. I know the risk here is unbelievable. I understand that. But what are we going to do? Are we going to do nothing? Are we going to watch the goddamn videos of civilians dying in the streets, children being blown up, people screaming and trying to get on trains to get away? And we're going to do nothing? Oh, yeah, we've sent 13,000 TOW missiles. Big fucking deal. That has nothing to do with the bombing campaign that Putin has ordered against cities, civilians in Russia. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.